Now, how's this sound in the back? Good? Can hear. Okay, good. We switch so I don't have to hold the mic. Sometimes we don't know how this will be choreographed till we get here, which is good. So in every moment, may my mind turn toward the Dharma. Every moment. On the cushion, off the cushion, driving car, eating, drinking. This is our aspiration wish. And as we practice, it does it. All depends on us. That's good, because if it depended on someone else, we wouldn't be able to to make it happen. So now we're on our third thought that turns the mind to the Dharma. Away from suffering. And it's always so paradoxical to me, in a way, because I'm still in my confusion, that to turn our minds away from suffering to end it, we first have to contemplate it deeply. It's a paradox, but it's how it works. The teachers are clear on it. The teachings are clear on it. Most of us are not able to leap to the beautiful, luminous, empty mind and abide there and match our actions, speech, and thought to that. We do have flashes of it, wonderful. But most of the time, I don't know about you, but I'm just going around trying to keep myself from well, I was going to say slapping someone. That can arise in the moment, but hopefully it's not. It's not that gross. But the grossest things are with the body. Gross meaning heaviest, but the speech can lash out pretty easily, and all of that follows the mind, which in our co-emergent ignorance is still rising with a sense of other self. Bill will be leading us much deeper into that with the third and fourth Dharmas of Gonpopa. The Zens have this lovely saying, no self, no other, no problem. I love that. It really captures it into a bumper sticker. No self, no other, no problem. How do we get there? A little later, when I turn to the second Dharma, we'll talk more about that, the view. But now, we're on our third thought that turns the mind, impermanence. We know about impermanence. I'm going to drink this water up. It's not going to sit here forever. Even if I didn't drink it and we left it out for a year, no water. It would just evaporate. Everything's like that. We know it and we don't know it. We know it about gross things, like, wow, a tsunami happened. Wow, an election occurred. Wow, my friend got a disease. Wow, this and that. The ones we do wow about. But we know it on a quieter level. My garden grows snap peas. If I put in snap peas, it doesn't grow a grapefruit tree. But on a subtler level, we actually are pretty confused about it. This is why Shine is so important, because we start to actually experience impermanence. We see that, we experience and see that our minds are so impermanent. You try to nail down something in your mind and hold it without changing. Good luck. Not going to happen. It's the nature, the pure nature of it, impermanent. So with this contemplation, I thought of something fun to do, which is, how much life do you think you have left? I like that face. Whenever I say fun, you know it's not going to be. That's why I'm trying to lighten it up a little. But we really got to know this. We got to experience it. So we have to go in there. Niceness isn't going to work. Niceness is Dharma light. L-I-T-E. You know, niceness is nice. But it's Dharma light. Sometimes the Dharma is a little bit ferocious with us, as you've probably experienced. So this contemplation is to bring to the experience of your heart that I am impermanent. This set of aggregates, body, mind, together for a while, make a personality. Name it Zopa, name it Kathleen, name it whatever you want. When those come apart and the body wears out, which it's doing right this minute, most of us with gray hair really get this on a daily basis. Like, oh my God, it hurts. Or I used to be able to do that and I can't anymore. It's good that we get that message. Body wears out. Natural. I was asking Kempo Lodrodonyo about this when I met with him, and he said, it's natural. And it was such a nice relief, the way he said that. So loving. Because I was all like, I'm getting too old and I can't remember things and I'm worried about this and that. And he said, it's natural. In that moment, I just felt like, oh yeah, cool. So naturally, the body's going to just deteriorate and then someday not move at all. And then consciousness will leave the body. So right now, they're very entangled and very affecting one another, but at that time, consciousness goes on. And what it carries is everything we've put into it, and everything from the past lives that came into it. This is the good news, actually, not the bad news. This is the good news, because we are and can continue to simply pile on positive, non-suffering habits. That's what we do with our practice. So as I said, here's the question for the next 3 minutes. How much life do you have left? And I want to caution one thing. First of all, it's absolutely certain that it is uncertain. One day I woke up and I went to the doctor and got diagnosed with breast cancer. The day before that, I didn't think I had breast cancer. I did have it, but I didn't think it. Uncertain. Uncertainty through that time. Which kind of cancer? Can we get it? Will it end? Will it continue? Will it recur? So far, so good. We don't know. People die at every age from many causes. But it's kind of good. Just contemplate how much you think you have left. I'm trying for 15 more years. And that shocked me because I thought, wow, That's not very much, but I'll be 85. I'll be lucky if I go that far and have a sound mind and a body that can move around. And that woke me up to don't waste it. What do I want to do in my next 15 years? And I don't mean a bucket list of jumping out of airplanes and visiting, Jamaica again. Yeah, maybe that would be okay if I brought my Dharma with me. But really, how do you want to spend it? How do you want to send yourself off, your consciousness off? Doesn't mean you have to sit 8 hours a day with your back hurting doing shamata, but always bringing that mind. Okay, so contemplate death. And what's the phrase? Julie's leading this wonderful group, or has been, but something like joy. What's a good phrase? The joy of dying. I think that was one of them. I think Rabina Corton's written a new book called Enjoy Dying, or The Joy of Dying. Looking at it as an opportunity, but being serious about each one of us, no matter how old we are, we've got a limited time. And we don't know how long it is. So simply play with that for a while. With loving kindness for yourself and others. Think of your object of whatever anchor you use for shine. Let go of thoughts. Let them pass. Nothing to do, nothing to think about, nothing to plan, even nothing to be, even not meditating, not trying for the next few minutes. So where's the joy? The joy in looking at impermanence, suffering, cause and effect, is that as we see reality as it is, rather than our exaggerations of positive and negative, our ignorant, co-emergent, when we experience reality as it is, a natural peace kind of rises. Many of us feel so much anxiety and confusion in the world right now, and that's because we're outside of how things really function. Our thought patterns are outside of how it functions. We make solid friends, solid family, solid enemies, solid strangers, but that's all made up. Your enemy is someone else's beloved. And all those I cast as strangers are someone else's enemy or beloved. I'm not more right than they are. It's an experience. We're always adding on and taking away things from reality, and then we suffer. So the joy is looking straight at it. As difficult as it can be, it actually does free our minds. Okay, now we get to do something fun. I keep calling everything fun. I've been with grandkids a lot lately and another grandkid, so it's all fun. They totally get it when they're 3, 4, and 6. It's easy. It's all fun. So we move to the last of the thoughts that turn the mind, which traditionally is the first, which is called our precious human life or precious human existence. So in this one, we actually get to be incredibly grateful for our conditions. We can just take a moment and look around. Here's Dharma friends that show up over and over again. And that lets us know they're practicing. And that encourages us. And oh wow, what we have created lately. This urban center, the 3-year retreat, all our Dharma practice. These are the conditions of a precious human life. A life that has the life force and comes to the Dharma. Something from all those past lives drew us. You know, we grew up in a non-Buddhist country, so it wasn't automatic, right? Wasn't like our parents were taking us to light incense sticks. Maybe yours were, but mine weren't. So that to me is another indication of how we never lose our Buddha nature. I can remember I was this busy, overwhelmed, literally crazy lawyer in a legal aid setting, and a mom of how old was he then? Probably 12 or something. And, which is not a fun age. Well, it could be, but it wasn't for my son and I. And I was just sort of starting to read the Northwest Dharma News, this is interesting. I don't know who turned me on to that, but it's interesting. At the time, it wasn't an e-news, it was paper. Everything was paper. Even lawyers weren't using computers so much. Secretaries in the office. Anyway, and in the Northwest Dharma News, I saw this word, Tonglen. Now, I can tell you, I didn't know Tonglen from anything. The word kind of glowed off the paper. How the heck could that rise? And I looked and I said, I got to learn that. And the analytical part of my lawyer brain said, no, you don't. Where are we going here? But not very long. I was in because it was an announcement of Lama Michael's Tonglen retreat at Cloud Mountain in either 93 or 94. I've not been able to find that. But amazing, I went. And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know anybody. And I'm not bragging on myself. What I'm illustrating here is the awakened mind starts rising despite the co-emergent ignorance, which fought me all the way. Where are we going? Why are we doing this? We don't know these people. We don't know this teacher, except I checked him out with my therapist, and she did know of him. And because I didn't want to go to some crazy place and get in trouble, which I had already done plenty of, as we all have. And it's just an illustration, and you've all had something like this. Look and see. That's the precious human life force. Something rose, you're drawn to Dharma, and here you are. That's amazing. So in the precious human life, we have the wonderful opportunity to have a body that can engage in Dharma. Even most all of us have some kind of something that hurts or doesn't work so well. But good enough body can study, contemplate, meditate, live in a country with freedom of religion, so our Dharma center doesn't get burnt down or closed down. Live with freedom from what are called lower states of mind, like extreme suffering, being born in war zones, being born with lots of illness, being born with starvation, where you just can't think of anything but survival. We're free of those. That's part of the freedoms of a precious human life. And then add on to that, we meet not only Dharma, but Dharma teachers to the level of our wonderful Lama and Khenpo Lodro Donyo, and some of you have been with Kala Rinpoche, Bokar Rinpoche. Amazing, amazing. So this is just like 3 minutes to enjoy and be grateful for our precious human situation and what naturally can rise. See if it does for you in this contemplation, is a sense of, I don't want to waste this. I don't want to waste this. How that rises is due to beginningless lives and all the karma, all the actions we've done of body, speech, and mind, we actually don't know that we'll meet Dharma immediately in the next life. Teachings say, yes, we're sowing things, putting things in, and those will never be lost. But we don't know what kind of intervening karma can come. I don't say that to scare us, but to be realistic. We don't know. Do you know? I don't know. I don't know what kind of death I'll have. I don't know what will rise first. I know for the first 47 years of this life, I didn't have Dharma. That's a long time. I don't want to wait that long next life. So let's just be grateful and make a resolve in your contemplation just to cherish it, to use it for the benefit of all, so that we can use what we know to end suffering. So 3 minutes on this. Now make a decision to stop contemplating. Simply to sit 3 minutes in Shine, calm abiding. Putting your mind firmly on your anchor. And whenever thoughts pull you away, simply seeing that and coming back to the anchor of the breath, or the anchor of the Buddha, the anchor of Shine with no object, whatever you're using. Just return again and again. No judgment, fully relaxed in body and mind. If distraction arises, deliberately release it. stretch in place, relax. Okay. Okay, we've made it to the second Dharma of Gonpopa. I want to say one thing about that approach of using the 4 thoughts that turn the mind in the first Dharma. May my mind turn toward the Dharma. Logically, we can use the 4 thoughts that turn the mind. So again, those are, in the usual order, precious human life, impermanence and death, faults of samsara, or karma is the next one, action and effect, and then the faults of samsara are suffering. So important to free ourselves from this co-emergent ignorance. The ignorance doesn't see reality as it truly is, and that's the suffering. It's nothing else. We just don't see what truly is. So we're going to move on to I wanted to say this one thing. There are many, many ways into that first Dharma of Gonpopa, and Khenpo Lodro Donyo taught it a little different, and Bill and I were discussing Trungpa Rinpoche and Rinko Toko, and I don't remember who all, but you'll see many, many entrances into that. Great. The reason is because, as Bill said in his first remarks, these 4 dharmas contain all the teachings. So they're huge, and you can go in many ways. This is just one way I know we're familiar with here, and that can work like 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So on to the second Dharma. May Dharma follow the path. May my mind turn toward the Dharma. May my Dharma follow the path. Now, the first thing I thought when I saw this was, well, why wouldn't it, right? I mean, seems automatic. But the reality is no. We can get very confused very quickly when we come to the Dharma. And I have this phrase from my teacher, Venerable Thubten Chödrön, of Dharma light, L-I-T-E. I said it before, it's when we're doing Dharma, particularly it can be the calm abiding, for ourselves, for our comfort, for our I want to relax in this life and, feel good. Nothing wrong with that. That's compassion towards oneself. But it's not on the Mahayana path. Why? You know the answer, right? What's the answer? Someone say it. Yeah. We forget that we're doing it for others. That's what brings the true joy. This bodhicitta. But I'm going to get to that. So in the second Dharma, there again are so many ways into it. But we'll do contemplations on 3 topics. The first one is confidence in our Buddha nature. key. We're told over and over that we have it already. It permeates everything. It's like a sesame seed. The oil is all throughout the seed. That's one of the traditional. You can't pull a part of the seed apart and say no oil in this. You also can't do that with your own self. Pull apart and say no Buddha nature here. Interesting, huh? Even things we do that cause suffering. Buddha nature there too. You can see that on a very simple, everyday level. How many of you have done something that you suffered or others suffered and you got insight from it? Just about everybody. That's one level you can see it. Our suffering teaches us, right? Lotus rises from the mud. Mud has to be there. Lotus can't just appear in the air by itself. Okay, so confidence in our Buddha nature. For this contemplation, I like to think about what Lama Michael repeats over and over and over. You will, I think, know this very short story. Buddha, having woken up, we're talking about the historical Shakyamuni Buddha now, having woken up, had an appearance that was very attractive to those who had what's called little dust in their eyes, who had little dust in their eyes. They had some openness. And he'd be walking along doing this or that and gathered many followers just from his being, his way of being. And Lama Michael tells the story of the man who saw this, call him person on the street, who saw this, went up to him and said, "You seem different. I see you're a human, but you seem different. What's the difference between you and me?" Really good question. Wow, talk about go right to the heart of it, you know. And the Buddha said, nothing. Now there's something to contemplate right there. Nothing, no difference. And that's what we're going to contemplate. There is no difference between each one of us and the Buddha. Then he said, the only difference is I recognize I'm the Buddha and you don't. Wow. So let's just contemplate that for a few minutes. Try it on to your own body, your own mind, your own life. And even if you have no confidence in it, or a little bit, as Lama Mike often says, fake it. Just take it on. The way we take on that all beings have been my mothers and fathers and sons and daughters throughout beginningless life. Just adopt it in this contemplation. I have Buddha nature exactly like the Buddha. No difference, not one iota. I just don't recognize it. But it's there. So this can be very joyful or difficult. It's whatever. And we can open this just a little by dropping I have Buddha nature, simply calling our body, thoughts, just noticing it, noticing our body and thoughts and saying, Buddha nature, nothing else, Buddha nature. There's nothing here but Buddha nature. Now drop all thoughts. Make a determination to not follow them as distractions. Anchor yourself in your Shine object and rest in just the beautiful natural mind. Relax. For most of us, even we gain this confidence momentarily, both in our Buddha nature and, so important, the Buddha nature of others. Whoever we see, whoever we encounter. also no difference between them and the Buddha in their essence. Really helpful to remember that. But because we're, even as I said, we get a bit of it, the confidence slips. This illustrates for us a need for what's called purification. And to cut to the chase here, the purification in the Mahamudra tradition is cool because it's through Shine and Vipassana, not something else. It's through calm abiding and insight. The mind is what needs to be purified, so we turn to the nature of the mind. First, we have to get calm enough to do that. So simplifying our lives is helpful. It's actually making them more pleasurable. And getting a peaceful time each day, hopefully, even 5-10 minutes, hopefully more. Then recalling each day, as Lama Michael shares, 1 minute, 1 minute meditations in the middle of the grocery store. It's good time in the line there. 1 minute of loving kindness, or of a sense of, wow, this is like a dream. Whatever works for your 1 minute, or just the breath. So in this need for purification, I've told myself to look at this book. I'm not sure I'm going to read the quote. Let me see. I think I will. It starts moving from the calm abiding into more the Vipassana nature of the mind, insight, calm abiding to insight, but it's a short one. It's out of this book we're using in our mind training group, Essential Mind Training, which we are just jetting through. I'm laughing with Tracy because, oh my gosh, we have the most amazing sessions, and you're invited to them second and fourth Thursdays. I just want to read this piece that comes from a text called Mahayana Mind Training, Eliminating Future Adversities. Has to do with this purification piece. So what we're purifying is those habits of mind that keep us from understanding reality, the ones that grab a self, grab another, and then create solid stories, aversion, attachment, the whole thing. So we'll do this, we're going to just do pure Shine here, but I want to set it up with this quote from this text. So when a conception arises, which constantly arises, right? I mean, if you're like me, you sit Shine and thought, conception, thought. When a thought arises, a conception, examine it this way. Where does this arise from? Where is it residing? That's a really cool one. I like to ask that. So we're no longer thinking of the content of the thought, like, when this ends, I've got to go buy this food for my family and be there by 5 o'clock. Where does this arise from? Where does it reside? Where does it go? Just watching a thought as it goes across. Where is it coming from? Where is it abiding? Where is it going? This helps us see it's devoid of any intrinsic, solid existence. And like meeting a past acquaintance, you take it onto the path. Like, oh, hi, onto the path, empty, let go. You don't have to have the person move in and stay with you and cause a lot of problems. Hello, goodbye. And I like this phrase, or like snowflakes falling onto hot rocks. Just let it go. Rises, melts. Okay? So you can contemplate a few of those thoughts or simply use this time for Shine. We'll do 5 minutes. Your choice. So may our minds turn toward the Dharma. May the Dharma follow the path, the true authentic path. There's one more concept here, one more experience here to spend a bit of time with. Then we'll take some questions up till lunchtime. So no surprise, what is it? The awakened mind, bodhicitta. Make sure our Dharma follows the path. We uncover our awakened nature. We're not adding something new. We're not taking anything away, really. We uncover what's already there. Our awakened mind. And there are so many ways into this, but of course, due to time, etc., I'm going to shorten this up. And I decided, because it's one of my favorite ways in, is to talk about equalizing and equanimity, which is one of the four immeasurables. The Dalai Lama says often to put it first, because when we don't equalize and see our sameness, which all having the Buddha nature, same, it's quite difficult to cultivate loving kindness on the level we need to. It's quite difficult to cultivate anything positive towards who we label other. As soon as we label other, we're in trouble, and we do it all day long. This equalizing and exchanging cuts directly against that. So this again is from the Essential Mind Training book called The Bodhisattva Samantrabhadra's Mind Training. Cultivate equanimity toward others. My bumper sticker is when I see someone doing something I don't like and judgment rises, I try to remember, just like me, I do that. I do something so similar to that. Sometimes I do exactly that. And then my judgment's cut. Do I try to control others? Sure. Do I judge them? Sure. Do I make mistakes? Sure. And you can start relaxing deeply into that sameness, that equalizing, and it opens the heart instead of some sense of I'm better than or I'm worse than. Those are the ditches. Cultivate equanimity towards others. Equanimity free of discriminating. That one's close, that one's distant. So free of that. Of course we have roles and labels, friend, spouse, we have those roles. But the attitude toward persons can stay the same, wishing each and every one of them free of suffering. Free of discriminating close and distant. Equanimity in your level of respect. I love that. In your level of respect. Respecting each and every being's Buddha nature as the first reaction. I don't have that. I'm just saying I would love to. Whoever I saw, first see they have Buddha nature. Instead of see all my stuff that comes. They're like this, I'm like that. Da-da-da. And equanimity, free of discriminating thoughts of good and bad. So these instant labels. She's good, he's bad. Those are all based on our kleshas. Cultivate these qualities. So let's just take a few minutes and just, you can use that bumper sticker thing in, just like me, and I'm just like them. And you might, if you want to really challenge yourself, pick someone you're really struggling with, don't like, you even see their face and you're reactive, or someone you're having a personal thing with. You can go on that level, or you can go on the level of a stranger, someone you see at the grocery store who works, or someone in your neighborhood, just like me, just like me. I'm just like that. And of course, with beloved ones, it's sometimes a little easier. So any one of those, take 3 minutes and contemplate this equanimity, this equalizing. So let go of all thoughts. Rest in the nature of mind. So may our minds turn toward the Dharma. May our Dharma follow the path. May we have confidence in our Buddha nature. May we understand that we do have need for purification, for practice. And may we always begin and end with bodhicitta, doing this for the sake of all beings. And it's helpful sometimes to think of specific beings. Your mother of this life on your left, your father of this life on your right, all your siblings and friends, the vast array of beings you label as strangers. Some labeled as enemies. All the animals, birds, insects, countless beings from all times, past, present, and future, wishing each and every one of them to benefit from this time we've shared, to benefit from us straightening our minds up, our hearts up. May they benefit. So we have about 16 minutes for some Q&A, and then we'll have a lunch break. Does that work for you? And we'll do our lunch break as usual, 12 to 1:30, and Bill will continue through the afternoon with the third and fourth dharmas, ever deepening our understanding. So fine if some of you obviously need to take a break or leave, but if you can, let's dig into what your questions are so far.
It seems to me like most of what we learn in Buddhism is something we can look and see. I mean, that's the power of it. That is experiential. Mm-hmm. And we don't take it on faith, really. We meditate, we look and see. And to me, the big exception to this is this idea of Buddha nature. Mm. This idea that we all have Buddha nature. That's something, I'm willing to take the view, as Lama Michael says, but it's not obvious to me. I mean, it's helpful because it's a path to bodhicitta and it's a path to equanimity. But is it just kind of a postulate, just kind of something that we need to sort of take on faith? Because I don't know, I don't see it in my meditation.
Yeah, join the crowd. But such a good question, Phil. It's not just a postulate, it's not just a concept, it's a reality. And due to this ignorance that rises, and we have not yet cleared out, we can't see it. But in moments we can. And this is why we have things like the 4 immeasurables and the 6 perfections. When you do those, something shifts, right? If you do metta, loving kindness, meditation, something shifts. Without Buddha nature, no shift would occur. You'd be stuck in whatever grumpiness or whatever. And I'm not saying that's identical to recognizing Buddha nature, but we're the kind of beings that need steps along the way.
Well, I get that I can feel Buddha nature in myself. I do.
You can
I
feel
do
it?
feel that. It's just,
Yay, cool.
I'm being asked to take it on faith that everybody out there, all beings, have that. That's the tough one for me.
Oh, okay. Oh, That's a good step. Having confidence in your own.
It's he who must not be mentioned who's the problem here.
Oh, he has it too. There is no difference in the essence, and I want to hear from Bill on this, but there's no difference in the essence. That's what we have to peel away. The essence of that person's mind is the same essence as our mind, on a relative level, clear and aware. Okay.
I see your point.
Yeah.
I mean, why would we think it's different, right?
In the essence, but everybody's got all these afflictions and clashes and obscurations. Those are all different flavors. Believe me, yours aren't the same flavor as mine. And that's what's important to work with and know. Does that help? It's the
Yes,
essence.
yeah, I think there's a glimmer there for me.
Okay, fantastic. And therefore probably for others. That's why questions are important. Addition?
One thing that could be helpful is to not think of it as an it so much. Because if we think, I have Buddha nature, I have it, then we look for an it. And that gets away from and we look for an it that's different than the rest of our experience, as opposed to looking through or directly into our experience, which gets back to your original point about the Dharma fundamentally being connected to things that we can look directly into our experience, see them. We can see, it's easy for us to see the mechanics of what goes on when we put one thing in play, and then other things happen after that. It's easy to see the kind of the dynamics, but it's harder to, when we're caught up in the dynamics, then it's harder to look into awareness itself. And so part of it is just the word it, or the thingness, the way we talk about Buddha nature, which sounds kind of thingish. That's a bit problematic. But when we identify ourselves solely in terms of basically the things that we do and say and think under the influence of the kleshas, then we think other people are, now that's me. Then we think the other people who are obviously having much worse kleshas than our own, maybe I might have this positive thing just because I happen to feel vaguely positive about myself. on the whole, not such bad kleshas. Then we say somebody else has got really bad kleshas, so on the whole, negative view of them. But that doesn't get it, both of those equations actually sidestep Buddha nature, sidestep the nature of awareness.
So my experience is a little different, that those conceptual pieces, which are conceptual, head towards that, and then fully working on the it is not a it. But we're very conceptual. We make it's, and the danger is we'll make it into a soul or a God or a something. Yeah, so, but for me, those movements toward are like steps headed towards the top of the mountain. Yeah. What else? Oh, I can't remember. Thank you. Thank you, Bill. So I think Peter, or did you get it answered?
So I had a question, this is somewhat related to a question last week, and it has to do with the empty nature of phenomena, which I think is part of confusion, and also maybe the illusory nature of our waking life, which was kind of a question from last week. And so I just wanted to check is the empty nature, right, is that sentient beings exist because of like dependent origination and karma and cause and effect. And if you were really examining the empty nature, you would say that someone doesn't have inherent existence. So emptiness is a lack of inherent existence?
Yeah, lots of words there, lots of concepts, but you're, from what I know, making an accurate statement of the prasangika philosophical stance. What it's empty of is what we add on. This add-on, which is some of what Bill's comment was related to, we miss. Boy, it's so hard to talk about. We miss the true essence of all things, including ourselves, thoughts, Buddha nature, etc., because we're always adding something. We're always sticking some thing onto it, and then we're off base. Now, for me, that sticking something on can be helpful so long as I know it's not the final step. But for me, it helps me go there. Everybody's going to be a little different about this, how direct you can go towards the Mahamudra, the Great Seal of everything infused, appearance, all appearances infused. Infused is even tricky because it sounds like the appearance was there and then some infusion occurred, but appearance, emptiness, boom, together, never apart. Does that help? So you're stating it philosophically, but it sounds very heady, Peter.
Well, I mean, I have to get to the non-conceptual
Me
of
too.
the conceptual, and then maybe it'll be crystal clear.
Yeah, yeah. And as my teacher, Venerable Chidren, always said to us, because she goes in conceptually, but experientially, but she'll say, you got to have the blueprint. So you just stated a blueprint, It's a long old thing between Kagyus and Gelug's. Like, I'll tell you the joke, okay? Might be a little helpful. So the Kagyus say, oh, Gelug's, so many words, so many books. You have to have subsection 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, D, A, B, C. You folks are just lost in concepts. And the Gelug's say, yeah, Kagyus, you just go sit in the cave and you don't know what to think about. You haven't got a clue. You sit there and you think about what you've always thought about. Now, these are exaggerations, right? But I kind of cut it down to that so people can understand. And the masters of both say, you gotta have both. Yeah, you gotta study. Last Khenpo Lodro Donya said, you've got to contemplate. That is, bring it to your life. See what's going on a relative level. See it. Am I irritated all the time? See it. Don't pretend like, oh, my irritation's empty of inherent existence, so nobody's experiencing it. Yeah, see it. Study it, contemplate it, and meditate to the nature of the mind. Calm down with calm abiding. Then, once you get calm enough and you get some good instruction, direct instructions, Baz, from teachers, move to the insight. I touched on some of those insight questions this morning, like, where's this thought coming from? Where is it occurring? Where did it go? You can just ask yourself any one of those in a moment of meditation and really try to find it. Don't just pretend, oh, I know, it's not anywhere. That's too facile. Yeah. Okay, maybe one more question. Thank you for those. They're helpful to others. Or we can stop for lunch. Okay, let's do that. Let's dedicate this beautiful morning. Thank you so much.
By this virtue may I quickly realize Mahamudra and establish all beings without exception in this state.
Thank you. So I think there's some kind of potluck downstairs. If you didn't bring potluck, check and see if there's plenty of food. Usually there is. But is there still a list on the back of places people can go?